While wireless gaming devices have come a long way since they first began in the market, they still have some way to go. So right now, while it's close to being as good as wired gaming devices, it's still kind of almost there, but not quite there yet. So that begs the question. Is it a good time to upgrade to a wireless gaming setup in 2020? Well, you gotta keep watching to find out. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is that there are a lot of things to understand when it comes to a tech purchase. The thing about tech is that it's all about the user, it's all about you. And as such, a lot of the advice I give is vague and generalized, and you have to take it with a pinch of salt and adjust what I say to whatever you are going to use said tech product for. It's all very subjective, and a good buy for someone might be a terrible purchase for someone else. So, as such, the thing about wireless and upgrading to a wireless gaming setup is equally complex, even though it might seem simple at first. So, the first thing I'd say that you look out for in whether to upgrade to a wireless gaming setup is price. This is the biggest determinant in value, and whether you have enough money to afford an upgrade in the first place is also very crucial in determining the ability to get an upgrade. So you have to take into consideration the price of upgrading to wireless. While wireless products are getting cheaper, even in the gaming world, that are of high performance, like with the G305 wireless mouse, for example, excellent value for what it is, there are still many shortcomings to cheaper wireless products, such as higher latency, poorer battery life, poorer software and support, and as such, there are trade-offs to going with a cheaper wireless gaming product. Now, to get the best, you're going to have to pay more, but whether you're able to pay enough for a wireless upgrade that is worth your time is going to be entirely dependent on you. My recommendation is that if you can't afford a good enough wireless mouse and keyboard or wireless gaming setup upgrade, I would recommend that you upgrade to later down the road when things get even cheaper and or get even better, and in the meantime save some money and go work some extra jobs or something. I don't know what your situation is, but if you can't afford a good enough upgrade right now, stay away. The second thing to look out for is obviously performance. And I'm not just talking about performance relative to its competitors in the wireless world, but also performance relative to its wired counterparts, like the G102 versus the G305. Both of these mice are pretty much identical, but the G305 is wireless, and in terms of latency and lag, are the differences noticeable? To me, having used both, the differences aren't noticeable. In fact, I would say the G305 is pretty much on par with the wired G102. But to someone who's playing on 240 hertz monitor at the elite level, the performance might be very, very discernible to them. And if you're playing a very competitive esport and you're trying to compete, small, minute differences might matter between wired and wireless mice. However, it might also go the other way round. Wired mice have the advantage of not having cable clutter and not having your cable snag onto things, which might also increase the performance of said gaming experience and gaming product. So there are many things to consider, but when it comes to performance of a wireless gaming setup, you have to not just compare it with its competitors, but it's also its wired counterparts and wired competitors, because this market is very big. And if you're thinking about an overall upgrade from wired to wireless, thinking about wired competitors and options is very, very important. Now, the third thing I'd like to talk about that is also very important when considering an upgrade from a wired gaming setup to a wireless gaming setup is convenience. Well, it is much more convenient with a wireless setup to move your setup around, because a wireless mouse and a wireless dongle plugged into your laptop is much easier to move than a clunky long cable wired mouse. It doesn't mean that it's more convenient overall. For example, as a person who only games at a stationary spot in my room, I don't see the advantages of moving my wireless keyboard and mouse around as a big advantage. However, I see the inconvenience of having to charge a wireless device and the possibility of losing a wireless dongle as much bigger disadvantages, and as such I use a wired gaming setup. Now this might not be true for all people, but for me, and in certain particular situations like the one I'm in, the convenience factor of wireless loses out to the inconvenience factor of wireless. So you have to judge and weigh it on your own criteria. If you are, say, someone who moves around a lot, who likes gaming on the go, then a wireless mouse and keyboard or wireless gaming setup might be an excellent idea. If you are someone who obsesses over the neatness and cable cleanliness of your setup, a wireless keyboard and mouse or wireless setup is a brilliant idea. However, if you're someone who is always at a stationary gaming setup, who absolutely doesn't care about cable management, well, at least that much, then maybe wireless isn't worth it for you. So so from a convenience standpoint, that is what I would say you should look out for. Anyway, those are the 3 criteria I think you should judge it by. So as you can see, this isn't the simplest of problems to solve. And while it isn't a life or death high stakes issue where if you go one way you might live, or you go the other you might die, it's not that high stakes, obviously. But if you're spending, say, $100 to a few $100s of your hard-earned cash to buy new tech products, I think it's a good idea to take a step back, think about the criteria and the things I've talked about. So I guess it's conclusion time then. While this decision isn't a life or death high stakes situation, it really isn't. It's really not much at all. I think it's still a good idea to take a step back and think about the pros and cons to upgrading in a wireless, especially if you're spending a few $100s of your hard-earned money on gaming stuff. So if you're upgrading your stuff, think about the things I've talked about and decide whether spending the extra cash and extra dough on getting a wireless gaming setup really is worth it. Maybe even think about a compromise. A wired keyboard with a wireless gaming mouse is a very popular choice and also a very good idea in balancing the different pros and cons of going wired and wireless. So that's just an example. Obviously, you don't have to take that as the verdict. Anyway, I hope what I said has helped you make a better and more conscious decision in whether to switch from a wired to a wireless gaming setup. And if you did find it helpful or you found the video enjoyable, please go ahead and subscribe. And I reply to all comments and all messages. So if you want to ask any questions, you want to chat, you want to play a game of Counter-Strike against me, go ahead, ask away in the comments down below or on Instagram or Twitter DMs. I'm open on all channels. I'm happy to talk. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.